Monaco's a playground for the mega-rich, with luxury yachts lining the harbor and high-rise apartments worth millions. This tiny country's got no personal income tax, so it's like a magnet for billionaires from all over the world. You've got casino kings, fashion moguls, and even royalty calling Monaco home. Some made their cash in the skies with airlines, while others got rich from priceless art collections. There's even a guy who made bank selling vodka. But the richest dude in Monaco, his fortune comes from something you probably use every day, your local pharmacy. So buckle up, because we're about to take a tour of Monaco's billionaire club, starting with the poorest rich guy and working our way up to the pharmaceutical king himself. From fur to vodka. Alright, let's kick things off with Monaco's entry-level billionaire. Meet Alexander Vick, the guy who's sitting pretty with a cool $1 billion to his name. Now, $1 billion ain't small change, but in Monaco, it's practically pocket money. Vic's story is pretty wild. He comes from a family of Norwegian fur traders. Yeah, you heard that right. While most of us are out here buying fake fur coats, Vic's family was making bank selling the real deal for generations. But Vic didn't just stick to the family business. He's like that friend who can't decide on a major in college, except instead of switching majors, he's switching billion-dollar industries. This guy's got his fingers in more pies than a bakery on Thanksgiving. He took his fur money and said, you know what, I'm gonna invest in tech and insurance. Because nothing says I'm a cool modern billionaire like ditching fur for firewalls and flood coverage, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. Vic looked at all his billions and thought, you know what this fortune needs? Vodka. Not just any vodka, mind you. We're talking about Christiania vodka, made from a 400-year-old recipe that used to be served to Norwegian kings. Imagine that. This guy's out here selling vodka that's older than most countries. It's like he took a time machine to the court of King Christian IV, swiped the recipe, and was like, yeah, this'll do nicely in 2023. Now you might be thinking, $1 billion and a fancy vodka brand? This guy's living the dream. And yeah, he's doing all right. But in Monaco, Vic is basically the guy driving a Toyota Corolla in a parking lot full of Lamborghinis. His $1 billion fortune is like the bare minimum to even be considered part of Monaco's billionaire club. It's like he's got a learner's permit for being rich in Monaco. The other billionaires probably pat him on the head and say, oh, that's cute, you'll get there someday, champ. But don't feel too bad for Vic. I mean, the guy's still a billionaire. He's not exactly clipping coupons or waiting for the clearance sale at Walmart. His modest fortune could still buy a small country or two. And let's be real, having $1 billion and your own vodka brand, that's not a bad gig. Vic's probably sitting on his yacht right now, sipping his 400-year-old vodka recipe and thinking, life's pretty good. Vic's billion-dollar empire is just the beginning of our Monaco money tour. We're about to meet folks who make Vic look like he's running a lemonade stand. From fur trading to vodka, Vic's journey shows us that in Monaco, $1 billion is just the price of admission. It's like he's standing at the bottom of a money mountain, looking up at the billionaires who are so rich, they probably use $100 bills as toilet paper. Mohammed Al-Fayed. This guy's sitting on a cool $1.62 billion. That's like having a dollar for every star in our galaxy, and then some. Al-Fayed's been calling Monaco home for years, probably because he got tired of counting all his money in less sunny places. Now, $1.62 billion might sound like chump change compared to some of the other loaded folks we're gonna meet, but Al-Fayed's got a pretty wild story. He's the guy who used to own Harrods, that fancy department store in London where even the air smells expensive. Get this, in 2010, Al-Fayed sold Harrods for a whopping £2.4 billion. That's not a typo. He literally sold a store for more than some countries' entire economies. It's like he was playing Monopoly in real life and decided to cash in his properties. But here's the kicker. Al-Fayed didn't just take his billions and call it a day. Nah, he kept the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Yeah, that Ritz. The place where even the toilet paper probably has a thread count. It's like he looked at his portfolio and thought, you know what? I think I'll keep the hotel where literal kings and queens stay when they're in town. Al-Fayed's story is like a real-life game of rich person bingo. Owning Harrods? Check. Selling it for billions? Double check. Keeping the Ritz just for funsies? Triple check. But wait, there's more. This guy used to own Fulham Football Club too. He sold it in 2013 for $300 million. That's right. Owning a Premier League team was just a side hustle for Al Fayed. For most of us, $300 million would be retire on a private island money. For Al Fayed, it was probably just his weekend fun money. But Al Fayed's not just about business. He's got some serious connections to the glitz and glamour of Monaco. Back in the day, when Prince Rainier III and Grace Kelly were turning Monaco into Hollywood on the Mediterranean, Al Fayed was right there in the mix. And let's not forget his yacht, the Sokar. This thing was once considered one of the coolest mega yachts around. It's where his son Dodi proposed to Princess Diana. Yeah, that Princess Diana. Al Fayed's family history is literally intertwined with one of the most famous royal love stories of the 20th century. But here's the thing about Monaco. Even with all this history, all these connections, and a net worth that could probably buy a small country, Al Fayed's still not at the top of the Monaco money mountain. He's like the guy driving a Rolls-Royce in a parking lot full of spaceships. His $1.62 billion fortune. In Monaco, that's barely enough to get you invited to the good parties. It's like being a millionaire in a regular city. Sure, you're doing all right, but you're not exactly turning heads. Sir Stelios Haji Ioannou. This dude's got $1.62 billion in the bank, which in Monaco is like having a nice watch and a decent car. But Stelios, he's not just rich, he's easy rich. See, Stelios is the guy behind EasyJet. Yeah, that airline with the bright orange planes that made flying across Europe cheaper than a fancy dinner. He started it back in 1995 with a cool £5 million loan from his dad. Now, $5 million might sound like a lot, but in the airline biz, that's like trying to start a restaurant with enough cash to buy a toaster. But Stelios ain't just a one-trick pony. Nah, this guy looked at EasyJet and thought, you know what? Everything should be easy. So he went and slapped that Easy brand on everything he could think of. We're talking easy car, easy hotel, easy bus. If it moves or you can sleep in it, Stelios probably tried to make it easy. Now you might be thinking, this guy's just out here making everything cheap and orange. But here's the thing. Stelios ain't just about making money. In 2017, he joined something called the Giving Pledge. It's like a club for billionaires who promise to give away a big chunk of their cash to charity. So while he's out here making billions, he's also planning to give a lot of it away. Stelios once said, I believe in giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. That's some pretty deep stuff from a guy who made his fortune cramming people into bright orange tubes and shooting them across the sky. But let's get real for a second. Stelios might be all about making things easy, but there ain't nothing easy about building a billion-dollar empire. This guy took on the big airlines and won. He's like David taking on Goliath if David had a thing for the color orange and cheap flights to Ibiza, and you gotta give it to him. Stelios didn't just sit back and count his money. He kept pushing, kept expanding. It's like he woke up every morning and asked himself, what can I make easy today? Gym memberships? Sure. Pizza delivery? Why not? If there's a way to slap easy on it and make it cheaper, Stelios probably thought about it. Stelios might be worth $1.62 billion, but in Monaco, that's like being the guy with the nicest apartment in a building full of mansions. He's rich, sure, but he's not, I bought a small country for fun, rich. In Monaco, Stelios is what they call nouveau riche, new money. He didn't inherit a fortune or marry into royalty. Nah, he built his empire from the ground up, or should we say, from the runway up. And you gotta respect that. In a place where some folks are born with a silver spoon, Stelios came in with nothing but an idea and a love for the color orange. He saw a world where flying was for the rich and famous, and he said, nah, let's make it for everyone. And that's exactly what he did. The NAD Brothers. Alright, we've seen airline tycoons and department store moguls, but now we're stepping into a whole different world. Meet David and Ezra Nahmad, two brothers who turned buying paintings into a billion-dollar business. These guys ain't just rich, they're sitting on a combined fortune of $3.3 billion. That's enough to buy a small country, or in their case, enough to own more Picassos than most museums. Now, you might be thinking, art dealers, how'd they make that much cash? Well, these Syrian-born brothers ain't your average gallery owners. They're more like the Warren Buffetts of the art world, buying up masterpieces like their stocks and watching their value skyrocket. Get this, the Nahmads own about 300 Picasso paintings worth a whopping $3 billion. Yeah, you heard that right.
Their Picasso collection alone is worth almost as much as their entire net worth. It's like they looked at their bank account and said, "You know what? Let's turn all this money into Picassos."
But here's the kicker. They don't just collect art for fun. Nah, these guys are playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They buy art when prices are low, stash it away in a giant warehouse in Geneva, and then sell when the market's hot. It's like they've got a crystal ball that only works for predicting art prices.
The NAD Brothers didn't start out as art world big shots though. Their family fled Syria in the 1940s because of anti-Semitic unrest. They bounced around to Lebanon, then to Milan, where they discovered this whole art trading gig. Talk about a career change, from refugees to billionaire art dealers in just a couple generations. Now David Namad ain't just about paintings. This guy's got a wild side. He's a champion backgammon player. Yeah, you read that right. In 1996, he won the World Backgammon Championship. It's like he got bored of making millions with art and decided to conquer the backgammon world too. But don't think these brothers are all work and no play. They're known for throwing some of the wildest parties in Monaco. Imagine a bash where the walls are covered in Picassos and Monets, and every guest is worth at least a few $100 million. That's a Namad party for you. The crazy thing is, the Namads don't just own a lot of expensive art, they actually shape the whole art market. When they decide to sell a painting, it can change prices across the entire industry. It's like they've got their finger on the pulse of the art world, and everyone else is just trying to keep up. Their influence is so big that some people call them mega dealers. They're not just buying and selling art, they're playing the market like it's a giant game of Monopoly, and they've got hotels on Boardwalk and Park Place. Baja Hariri. Meet a guy who's worth $2.1 billion and knows how to build an empire, literally. This Lebanese Saudi billionaire ain't just rich, he's got a knack for turning skylines into gold mines. Hariri's story starts with a family business. His dad, Rafik Hariri, was the big boss of Saudi Oga, a construction company that was like the Walmart of building stuff in the Middle East. But Baha, he decided to ditch the family biz and strike out on his own. It's like he looked at his dad's empire and thought, nah, I can do better. So what did he do? He started Horizon Group. Now this ain't your average mom and pop shop. Horizon Group is all about real estate and logistics investments. It's like Baha took a look at cities and thought, you know what? I can make these better. And that's exactly what he did. But here's where it gets wild. Baha didn't just stick to building fancy apartments or office blocks. Nah, this guy went big, like really big. We're talking about a $5 billion revitalization project in Amman, Jordan. That's right, $5 billion, with a B. That's enough money to buy a small country, but Baha decided to use it to give Amman a facelift instead. Now you might be thinking, why Amman? Well, Baha ain't just about making money. He's got this thing for modernizing and developing cities. It's like he's playing Sim City, but in real life, and with real billions. The Amman project ain't just about building some fancy buildings either. It's about creating jobs, boosting the economy, and turning Amman into a city that can compete with the big boys. Baha's out here trying to put Amman on the map, right next to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. But Baha ain't just focused on Jordan. His Horizon Group has its fingers in pies all over the place. We're talking Beirut, we're talking other parts of the Middle East. It's like he's got a magic wand that turns empty lots into thriving urban centers. Now you might be wondering, how's this guy different from other real estate moguls? Well, Baha ain't just about slapping up some buildings and calling it a day. He's all about sustainable development. It's like he's trying to build cities that'll still be cool when our grandkids are running the show. And get this, Baha's also big on philanthropy. Yeah, he's out here making billions, but he's also giving back. It's like he's trying to balance out his karma or something. Building cities and helping people. That's a pretty sweet gig if you can get it. But let's talk about Monaco for a sec. You might be wondering why a guy who's all about building cities is chilling in a place that's smaller than Central Park. Well, Monaco ain't just a tax haven for Baha, it's like a base of operations. From here he can jet off to anywhere in the world, check on his projects, and still be home in time for dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant. And in Monaco, Baha's $2.1 billion fortune puts him in pretty good company. He's not at the top of the money mountain, but he ain't at the bottom either. It's like he's in the middle of the pack in a race where everyone is driving a Lamborghini. Tatiana Karagi, we're stepping into a whole new world of wealth.
Meet Tatiana Karagi, a billionaire who's mixing high fashion with actual royalty. This Colombian-Brazilian heiress is sitting pretty on a $2.1 billion fortune, which in Monaco is like having a nice yacht and a decent wine cellar. Tatiana ain't your average trust fund baby though. Sure, she inherited a chunk of change from her grandfather's Colombian beer empire, Bavaria, but instead of just lounging on a beach somewhere, she decided to make her own mark on the world. And boy, did she ever. Back in 2011, Tatiana teamed up with her friend Dana Alicani to start something called Muzungu Sisters. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck is a Muzungu sister? Well, it ain't a new girl band, that's for sure. It's an ethical fashion company that's all about fair trade and artisan-made products. See, Tatiana looked at the fashion world and thought, you know what? We can do better than just making pretty clothes. So, she and Dana started working with artisans from all over the globe, creating a brand that's as much about social impact as it is about style. Muzungu Sisters ain't just slapping ethical on their label for show either. They're out here collaborating with craftspeople from Peru to India, making sure these artisans get paid fair wages for their work. It's like Tatiana's using her billions to say, hey, fashion can look good and do good at the same time. But here's where Tatiana's story gets really interesting. While she's busy building her ethical fashion empire, she went and married into actual royalty. Yeah, you heard that right. Tatiana tied the knot with Prince Andrea Karagi, who just happens to be fourth in line to the Monaco throne. Now you might be thinking, fourth in line? That's not that impressive. But let me tell you, in Monaco, being fourth in line to the throne is like being backup quarterback for the Super Bowl champs. You're still part of a pretty exclusive club. Tatiana and Andrea's love story is straight out of a fairy tale too. They met while at boarding school in Fontainebleau near Paris. It's like they were in their own little episode of The Crown, but with better weather and more yachts. These two lovebirds have been busy too. They've got 3 kids together, including a little prince born in 2018. So Tatiana's not just running a business and being royal, she's also juggling motherhood. Talk about a full plate. But don't think for a second that marrying a prince made Tatiana slow down. Nah, she's still out here pushing for sustainable fashion and ethical consumerism. It's like she looked at her tiara and thought, you know what would go great with this? Some fair trade earrings. Tatiana's story is pretty unique in the Monaco billionaire scene. While some of these loaded folks are busy buying art or building skyscrapers, she's out here trying to change the fashion industry from the inside out. It's like she's playing a whole different game. And let's be real, in a place like Monaco where bling is king, Tatiana's focus on ethical fashion stands out. She's proving that you can have your cake and eat it too. Or in this case, wear your ethically made designer dress and support global artisans too. Steve Wynn, the name is pretty much synonymous with Las Vegas. This guy turned Sin City into a glittering oasis of luxury casinos and resorts. Now he's bringing that same Vegas magic to Monaco with a cool $3 billion fortune to back him up. Wynn's the mastermind behind some of the most iconic spots on the Las Vegas Strip. We're talking the Mirage, Treasure Island, and the Bellagio. These ain't just casinos. They're like adult Disneylands, where the rides are slot machines and the characters are high rollers. The Mirage? That was Wynn's first big hit. He opened it back in 1989 and it changed the game in Vegas. We're talking about a place with a freaking volcano out front that erupts every night. Inside, there was a tropical rainforest and a 20,000-gallon aquarium. It's like Wynn looked at the desert and said, you know what this place needs? More water. Then there's the Bellagio. This place is so fancy it's basically become shorthand for luxury. Remember that scene in Ocean's 11 with the dancing fountains? That's the Bellagio. Wynn built a place so swanky Hollywood couldn't resist using it as a backdrop. But Wynn ain't just about building fancy casinos. He's got an eye for art too. The guy's got a collection that'd make most museums jealous. We're talking Picasso's, Matisse's, the works. It's like he decided to take all that casino money and buy himself a slice of art history. Now you might be wondering, what's a Vegas casino king doing in Monaco? Well, in 2010, Prince Albert II decided Wynn was such a big deal, he granted him honorary Monegasque citizenship. That's right. Wynn's not just rich, he's royally approved rich. This citizenship thing ain't just for show either. It's like Monaco looked at Wynn and thought, we need some of that Vegas magic. And Wynn? He probably looked at Monaco and thought,
Now this is my kind of town. See, Monaco's got its own pretty famous casino scene. The Monte Carlo Casino, that place is legendary. It's been around since the 1850s, way before Wynn was even a twinkle in his daddy's eye. This casino's so fancy they used to make the locals prove they had enough cash just to get in the door. So Wynn coming to Monaco, it's like two worlds colliding. You've got old school European glamour meeting new school American pizzazz. It's like James Bond decided to team up with the Rat Pack. But here's the thing, Wynn ain't just copying and pasting his Vegas style into Monaco. He's smart enough to know that Monaco's got its own vibe. It's more champagne and caviar than vodka martinis and all-you-can-eat buffets. Wynn's approach to luxury is all about the experience. In Vegas, he didn't just build casinos, he built destinations, places where you could gamble, sure, but also eat at world-class restaurants, see amazing shows, and shop at designer boutiques. It's like he took the idea of a casino and said, let's add everything else someone with too much money might want to do. And that fits right in with Monaco's whole deal. This tiny country's all about luxury experiences. From the yacht-filled harbor to the Formula One Grand Prix, zooming through its streets, Monaco's always been a playground for the ultra-rich. Wynn's $3 billion fortune puts him in pretty good company in Monaco. He's not the richest guy in town, but he's definitely in the VIP section of the VIP section. It's like he's got a permanent seat at the high roller table of life. Christina Green, the retail queen of Monaco with a cool $4.8 billion to her name. This lady ain't just rich, she's got a whole empire of British stores in her back pocket. Christina's the big boss of Taveta Investments, which is like the mothership for a bunch of famous UK brands. We're talking Topshop, Topman, Dorothy Perkins, Miss Selfridge, all the places you'd hit up for a shopping spree if you were in London. Now, you might be thinking, how'd she end up with all these stores? Well, Christina's got a pretty interesting backstory. She used to be married to Sir Philip Green, the guy who built up the Arcadia Group. When things went south with the business, Christina stepped in and took over. But here's the thing, Christina ain't just sitting back and counting her billions. Nah, she's out here making moves. She recently dropped a cool £100 million on a yacht called Lionheart. That's right, £100 million for a boat. That's like buying a small country, but instead, you get to float around on it. This yacht ain't your average fishing boat either. It's a floating palace. We're talking multiple decks, probably a helipad, maybe even a submarine garage. Who knows? When you're spending that kind of cash, the sky's the limit. And where's this fancy boat docked? Monaco, of course. It's like Christina looked at all the other billionaires' yachts in the harbor and thought, mine should be bigger. But here's where it gets wild. Even with all these stores and a yacht that probably has its own zip code, Christina's still not the richest person in Monaco. That's how crazy this place is. A $4.8 billion fortune is like having a nice car in a parking lot full of spaceships. Christina's story is pretty unique in the Monaco billionaire scene. While some of these loaded folks are busy buying art or building skyscrapers, she's out here running a retail empire. It's like she's playing Monopoly, but instead of houses and hotels, she's got clothing stores. And let's be real, in a place like Monaco where bling is king, Christina's focus on retail stands out. She's proving that you can have your cake and eat it too, or in this case, own a bunch of clothing stores and still have enough left over for a yacht that's probably visible from space. But here's the kicker, even with all her stores and her mega yacht, Christina's $4.8 billion fortune is just middle of the pack in Monaco. It's like she's driving a Rolls-Royce in a city where everyone else has a flying car. She's doing well, sure, but she ain't exactly making the other billionaires jealous with her bank account. Still, Christina's story shows that in Monaco, it ain't just about how much money you've got, it's about what you do with it. While some billionaires are busy counting their cash, Christina's out here running a retail empire and cruising around on a yacht that's probably big enough to have its own economy. The Barkley Twins, Sir David and Sir Frederick, these guys aren't just rich, they're sitting on a combined fortune of $5.6 billion. That's enough cash to buy a small country or two, but in Monaco, it's just enough to get you a nice spot at the billionaires' table. Now, these brothers ain't your average tycoons. They've got their fingers in more pies than a baker on Thanksgiving. We're talking media empires, fancy hotels, shipping companies,
You name it, they probably own a piece of it. Let's start with their media game. The Barclays own the Telegraph newspaper. Yeah, that Telegraph, one of the UK's biggest papers. It's like they woke up one day and thought, you know what, we should control what millions of people read with their morning coffee. But newspapers are just the tip of the iceberg. These guys also own The Spectator magazine. It's like they're collecting media outlets like some people collect stamps. Now let's talk hotels. The Barclays bought the Ritz Hotel in London back in 1995. Yeah, that Ritz. The place so fancy they had to invent a new word for fancy, ritzy. Imagine owning a place where even the air smells expensive. But here's the kicker. These twins started from the bottom. They weren't born with silver spoons in their mouths. Nah, they began their business journey in the 1960s, turning old boarding houses into hotels. Their first big break? A tobacco company. Yeah, you heard that right. They bought it for a couple million and sold it for £79 million. That's like buying a used car and selling it for the price of a mansion. But the Barclays ain't just about making money. They've got a softer side too. Back in 2000, they got knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. Why? For their promotion of medical research and the arts. These guys have donated millions to medical research. It's like they looked at their bank account and thought, you know what? Let's cure some diseases while we're at it. Now you might be thinking, with all this money and power, these guys must be living it up in Monaco. But here's the thing. The Barclays are known for keeping a low profile. They're like the ninjas of the billionaire world. They've got a place in Monaco, sure, a nice little flat in Fontvieille. But their main crib, it's on a private island in the English Channel. Yeah, you heard that right, an entire island. It's like they took the whole privacy thing to a whole new level. Stefano Pessina, we've seen casino kings, retail queens, and even a couple of art-dealing brothers. But now we're getting to the main event, the Big Kahuna, the richest man in Monaco. And let me tell you, this guy's fortune makes everyone else look like they're running a lemonade stand. Meet Stefano Pessina, the pharmaceutical powerhouse with a net worth of $11.1 billion. Yeah, you heard that right, $11.1 billion. That's more than twice what the Barkley twins are worth combined. This guy's so rich, he could probably buy Monaco if it was for sale. Pessina ain't your average billionaire. He's the chairman of Walgreens Boots Alliance. Now you might be thinking, Walgreens? The place where I buy my aspirin? Yep, that's the one. But Pessina didn't just inherit this empire. He built it from the ground up. See, Pessina started out with his family's pharmaceutical wholesale business in Italy, but he wasn't content with just selling drugs to local pharmacies. Nah, this guy had bigger plans. He started buying up rival companies left and right. We're talking over 1,500 companies across Europe. It's like he was playing Monopoly, but with actual pharmacies. Then, in 2006, Pessina pulled off his biggest move yet. He merged his company with Boots, the UK's largest pharmacy chain. Suddenly, he wasn't just selling drugs to pharmacies, he owned the pharmacies too. It's like he looked at the pharmaceutical industry and said, I'll take the whole thing, thanks. But Pessina wasn't done. In 2014, he engineered a merger with Walgreens, creating a global pharmaceutical giant. Now, every time you pop into Walgreens for some cough syrup or a pack of gum, you're adding a few more pennies to Pessina's billions. Now you might be wondering, what's an Italian pharmaceutical tycoon doing in Monaco? Well, Pessina's been calling Monaco home for decades. He even gave up his Italian citizenship to become thought, yeah, this'll do nicely for my billions. But here's the thing about Pessina. He ain't just about making money. This guy's got a side hustle as an art collector. It's like he decided that owning a global pharmaceutical empire wasn't quite interesting enough, so he started buying up priceless artworks too. What's wild is that Pessina's path to wealth is so different from Monaco's other billionaires. While guys like Steve Wynn were building casinos and the Barkley twins were buying up newspapers, Pessina was quietly cornering the market on aspirin and cough syrup. Pessina once said, "We worked with the Jordanian government to revitalize Amman. The project is now worth $5 billion. Huh? Turns out this pharmaceutical king's got his fingers in other pies too. He's out here revitalizing entire cities while the rest of us are just trying to remember to take our vitamins." But here's what really sets Pessina apart. He's a trained nuclear engineer. Yeah, you heard that right. This guy could have been building power plants, but instead, he decided to revolutionize the way we buy Band-Aids and allergy meds.
Pacina's success is a testament to his business acumen. He didn't just buy up a bunch of companies, he strategically transformed the entire pharmaceutical industry. It's like he saw the future of healthcare and decided to own it.